Stoicism begins with a simple but difficult truth: life does not exist to satisfy you. Most frustration comes from a silent demand, placed on the world, that things should go according to your preferences. The Stoics rejected this idea completely. They understood that reality does not negotiate, it unfolds on its own terms, indifferent to comfort or desire. Peace, then, is not achieved by reshaping the world, but by reshaping the way you interpret it. This philosophy is not about suppressing pain, it is about refusing to add unnecessary suffering to it. When you accept that discomfort is a natural part of existence, you stop fighting what cannot be changed and start conserving energy for what can. That shift alone changes everything. According to Stoicism, suffering grows from attachment to outcomes. You attach your peace to success. You attach your worth to approval. You attach your calm to circumstances staying favorable. And when those conditions change, as they always do, your stability collapses with them. The Stoics divided life into two categories: what is within your control, and what is not. Your thoughts, intentions, and actions belong to you. Everything else does not. Once you internalize this distinction, you stop arguing with reality. You act where action is possible, and release where it is not. This is not giving up. It is choosing clarity over illusion. Calm is rare because it requires responsibility. It is easier to blame the world than to examine your own reactions. Most people want peace without discipline, control without effort, and certainty without reflection. Stoicism demands the opposite. It asks you to observe your thoughts before trusting them, to question emotional impulses before acting on them. A calm mind is not passive. It is actively trained. Every moment of restraint, every pause before reaction, strengthens that training. Calm is not something you stumble upon. It is something you build. What disturbs you is rarely the event itself, but the meaning you assign to it. Two people can experience the same situation and walk away with entirely different states of mind. This is the discipline Stoicism emphasizes most: perception. When something goes wrong, the untrained mind reacts instantly. It labels the moment as unfair, disastrous, or unbearable. The Stoic mind pauses. It recognizes that judgments are optional. Events arrive without labels. Meaning is added afterward. By choosing a neutral interpretation, you reduce emotional noise. This does not make you indifferent. It makes you precise. A clear perception allows calm action. A distorted one guarantees suffering. Stoicism is often misunderstood as emotional suppression. In truth, it teaches emotional awareness without submission. You are allowed to feel anger, fear, or sadness. You are not required to act on them. Emotion is a signal. Behavior is a choice. Most regret comes not from what is felt, but from what is done while feeling it. The Stoics trained themselves to delay response. That delay creates space. In that space, reason speaks. And when reason leads, actions align with values, not impulses. Freedom is not the absence of emotion. It is the presence of control. Effort does not guarantee results. This truth is uncomfortable, but liberating. Stoicism teaches you to commit fully to action, while remaining detached from outcome. You do your part with care and discipline. Then you release the rest. This detachment prevents despair in failure and arrogance in success. When outcomes no longer define you, your work becomes cleaner, calmer, and more honest. You stop chasing validation and start practicing excellence for its own sake. This is how peace survives uncertainty. Desire is not the enemy, but unchecked desire becomes a burden. The Stoics observe that wanting too much creates constant agitation. You desire recognition. You desire certainty. You desire outcomes that confirm your effort. And when those desires are not met, the mind turns restless. Stoicism does not ask you to abandon goals. It asks you to reduce dependence on them. When desire is disciplined, you act with focus rather than anxiety. You work without desperation. You wait without frustration. By loosening your grip on what you want, you strengthen your hold on yourself. Modern life celebrates excess. More speed, more noise, more stimulation. The Stoics chose the opposite. They understood that simplicity sharpens awareness. When the mind is not overloaded, it becomes harder to disturb. Simple routines, clear priorities, limited distractions. This is not minimalism for appearance. It is minimalism for mental stability. A simple life reduces the number of things that can control your emotions. The fewer attachments you maintain, the fewer disturbances you endure. Simplicity is not deprivation, it is protection. Endurance is built before difficulty arrives. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort to prepare the mind for unpredictability. They understood that comfort weakens tolerance, while challenge strengthens resilience. When hardship appears, the prepared mind does not panic. It responds. Endurance is not passive suffering. It is active acceptance. You acknowledge pain without dramatizing it. You continue without collapsing. This is how stability survives pressure. Everything you experience is temporary. Pleasure fades. Pain shifts. Circumstances change. Suffering intensifies when you forget this. The Stoics trained themselves to remember impermanence, not to become pessimistic, but to stay grounded. When something good happens, they appreciate it without clinging. When something difficult appears, they endure it without panic. Nothing lasts forever, and that includes discomfort. By accepting impermanence, you reduce fear of loss and resistance to change. What flows is easier to carry than what you try to freeze. Much of inner conflict is created by ego. The need to be right, the need to be seen, the need to be validated. Stoicism encourages humility, not as self-denial, but as emotional efficiency. When ego loosens, offense loses power. You stop interpreting every event as a personal statement about your worth. Criticism becomes information. Silence becomes neutral. Disagreement becomes ordinary. A quieter ego allows clearer judgment. Peace increases as self-importance decreases. Stoicism is not a philosophy you understand once. It is a discipline you repeat daily. Small acts of restraint, daily reflection, continuous awareness of thought patterns. Progress comes from consistency, not intensity. A single calm response today is worth more than perfect theory. The Stoics focused on repetition because the mind defaults to habit. By training it gently, but persistently, stability becomes natural. Peace is not achieved, it is maintained. The Stoics valued solitude, not as escape, but as training. In quiet moments, distractions fall away, and the mind reveals its habits. Most discomfort with solitude comes from dependence on external noise. Stoicism teaches self-reliance, the ability to remain steady, without constant stimulation or reassurance. When you can sit calmly with your thoughts, you reduce the need for approval. Solitude strengthens clarity. It sharpens judgment. It exposes unnecessary desires. A mind comfortable alone is harder to disturb in crowds. Stoicism reframes adversity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the Stoic asks, "How can this refine me?" Difficulty becomes training material. Patience grows under pressure. Discipline strengthens through resistance. Perspective sharpens during loss. This mindset does not romanticize suffering. It uses it. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice restraint, clarity, and courage. Adversity stops feeling personal when it becomes purposeful. The Stoics believe that excessive speech often reveals unexamined thought. Silence creates space for observation. When you speak less, you notice more: tone, behavior, intention. You react less impulsively, because you understand more fully. This restraint is not passivity. It is strategic awareness. By observing before responding, you prevent unnecessary conflict and preserve emotional energy. A calm mind listens first, then decides. Comparison quietly erodes peace. When you measure your life against others, contentment becomes impossible. The Stoics warned against this habit. They understood that every life follows a different path, with different constraints and circumstances. Comparison distracts you from your own responsibility to act well within your limits. Progress is personal. Virtue is internal. When you stop watching others, you regain focus. Peace grows when attention returns to what you can improve today, not what others appear to have. You are allowed to be imperfect. Stoicism does not demand flawlessness. It demands honesty. You will fail. You will react poorly at times. You will misunderstand yourself. The Stoic response is not self-criticism, but correction. Every mistake becomes feedback. Every misstep becomes instruction. By accepting limitation, you reduce shame and increase responsibility. Growth accelerates when you stop pretending and start adjusting. Calm is not a personality trait. It is a daily decision. You choose restraint over reaction, clarity over impulse, perspective over panic. These choices are small, but repeated over time, they compound. The Stoics knew that peace is fragile when treated as an outcome, but when treated as a practice, it becomes durable. Calm is built moment by moment and protected intentionally. When you strip life of excess expectation, what remains is simple: your character, your choices, your response to the present moment. The Stoics did not seek to control life. They sought to meet it clearly. They understood that peace does not arrive when circumstances improve, but when resistance ends. By focusing on what is essential, you stop scattering energy. Attention narrows. Clarity strengthens. And with clarity, the mind settles. Peace is not added to life. It emerges when unnecessary struggle is removed. Segment 20. Final reflection. The world will remain unpredictable. People will remain inconsistent. Outcomes will remain uncertain. This has always been true. Stoicism does not promise escape from this reality. It offers stability within it. You are not asked to control the world, only yourself. In doing so, you gain something rare, a mind that remains steady regardless of what unfolds. Do not wait for peace to appear. Practice it. That is the Stoic path.